Hi everyone, my name's Div. I'm a senior majoring in IST.
My name's Hope. I'm a sophomore public relations major.
Hi everyone, my name is Adia. I'm a telecommunications major. I'm a senior.
I want to talk about discrimination, and I want to talk about how things happen. People who are watching and thinking about discrimination from the outside, we have this idea that we would speak up or that we would do something, like we wouldn't let that happen to us, or whatever the case is. And the truth is, most of the time it happens really fast, it happens in subtle ways, it happens in places we don't see. So we have these things called audit studies. And the audit studies are when you try to isolate the cause of the discrimination somehow, okay? You want to isolate the cause of the difference. We will get testers, and so maybe it would be like the three of you become the testers. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to wear the exact same clothes, and kind of in a way you're all wearing the same clothes anyway. You have sweatshirts on or hoodies or whatever, and we're going to teach you how to shake hands, and we're going to do it like the same level of firmness, and we're going to be like, okay, look in my eye when you shake hands. You're going to hold it for 2.5 seconds, count 2.5, and then the same thing, 2.5, and you look in my eye. And we're going to and you're going to wear your hair in similar ways. You're going to be a similar height. You're going to speak in similar ways. You're going to say hello in the same way. We're going to control for all of these things, and we want to know, like, is there discrimination going on? Have you ever heard the term whitewashed? Do you know whitewashed? Like in the world of real estate, do you know what that means?
I think a little bit, I know in like certain neighborhoods that might be more like white, the valuation could be higher versus neighborhoods that are more like minority dominated, even though the actual like properties themselves could be very similar.
Okay, all right. Hope, do you have any, have you heard of this?
I would have said like the same thing. That would have been my guess.
Uh-huh.
You're not in the world of real estate. No.
Yeah. Okay, so here's this family, right? They buy this house in Marin County. They're like, 11 to 12 miles outside of San Francisco. They buy it in 2016 for a little over $500,000. And they do a lot of work on the house, significant renovations for the next, 3 or 4 years. And then they get an appraisal in 2019 because they were refined. And because interest rates went way down, and the appraisal goes up to almost $1.5 million, $1.45 million, okay? Then, in the next year, the interest rates really dropped again. And they said, damn, okay, this is going to be really good for us. Let's do another appraisal. And let's see how this operates, because we can save a bunch of money. Clearly, the value of our house has gone up. And the appraisal comes back at $1 million. They're like, what? Oh, come on, man. They're like, what's that? So they have this idea that they whitewash it. And basically what that means is, Adia's family, Adia's living in the house, but her family is friends with Hope's family. And so they go to Hope's family and they're like, hey, man, loan us all your photos and like all sorts of stuff. So they take down Adia's family. Adia takes down all of her family's photos. So you have no idea that it's a black family there. Everything that you might imagine, it's gone. And they replace it with Hope's family stuff, okay? And Hope's mother or father or somebody shows up to sell the house, like to do an appraisal for the house. And so Hope's mother or father shows up and meets the real estate agent who's going to go through. And so it's like, yeah, this is my house, and, here's my family. Oh, yeah, okay, it's great, like looking good. And they get the next appraisal, and it's $1.5 million. And they're like, yo, what's that? Like, what is that? Well, what do you know about real estate? What's your sense of real estate in black people? Do you know anything about it?
I guess like what I've just learned and heard is like in general black people don't have as like much property ownership compared to like white people.
Uh-huh. And what about the valuation of properties in black communities compared to white communities?
Generally it's less.
And how is that, or why is that, or what's behind that? What do you know about?
I don't necessarily know what's behind that, but because I'm not the one valuing those properties, but I think maybe there might be some degree of like prejudice.
Hope, do you have any thought on that? Like, why would black neighborhoods be valuated lower than, is less valuable than white neighborhoods?
I think a lot, like just what like Dev said, like it's a lot of just like prejudice and discrimination and people thinking like that's a lesser neighborhood and they're just like putting their own biases on it.
Black people don't take care of the neighborhoods. Black people aren't as interested in the communities. Black people are less interested in school. Black people are, et cetera, et cetera. You just like go down the list, right? So have you ever, Adia, have you heard of whitewashing at all? What I just described, have you ever heard of people doing that?
Now that it was explained to me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure my parents have done that.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, this is a common thing. Like, this is one of these things with black people. There's a whole, listen, it's like every group, doesn't matter. They're just things that are happening that you don't, people who are the Jewish community, there's just stuff in the Jewish community that if you're not Jewish, you just don't know about, you're not aware of it. This is a thing in the black community. Man, you whitewash. It's just common. In real estate agents, I have friends who are real estate agents. This is just a given. You don't emphasize that, right? Because this sense of things, this is not true for everybody. It's not true for every real estate agent, right? It's not true for every person, but there are all these ways in which people subtly respond to things. And whoever did that appraisal is not, would in a million years, would not say, I'm a racist. And so therefore, I'm valuating this at 50% less than what it should be. There's no way that that person would think that, say that, or act on the basis of their racism, because it's money. You're a real estate agent, right? It's like, I want to sell this thing for $1.5 million because that's a lot more money in the bank for me. But they don't do it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like whitewashing happens a lot in real estate, not just within like against like the black community. I think it happens with like all cultures. My mom is a realtor, and she also like stages homes. And whenever she's like doing that, she's looking to like make the home as like basic and just like easy for the buyer to see that they could place themselves in.
Yep.
So if there's a lot of like things around the house, a lot of pictures, a lot of anything, no matter what the culture is, it makes buyers less interested just because it's harder for them to envisioning seeing themselves there.
Right. So it's like it's a Hindu family.
Yeah.
And they have like statues of Ganesh or Krishna or something, right?
That
You're
would
like,
most
okay.
likely all be taken down.
Yeah, you want to
But
take that down.
If it was an Irish Catholic family and they had a ton of whatever everywhere, like that would also be taken down. Like it's not
Yeah.
just, it's just to make it more,
More bland.
so everyone would be able to see themselves there.
Yep. And in this case, though, there's this stereotype or stigma with black people. It's like, oh, if it's black family that was in here, therefore the house has less value somehow. This is just kind of a given. So, but we don't know that, right? Like, we don't know if that's the case in this case, right? Like, we really have no idea. They ended up winning a big lawsuit, by the way. So, like, that's how this came up, because it's a lawsuit. So, like, real estate agents know not to do this, but people are gonna do it anyway. And again, not just blatantly mean. Okay, so go to the next slide. So we have these things called audit studies, and I'm going to talk about them now for a little bit, okay? And the audit studies are when you try to isolate the cause of the discrimination somehow, okay? You want to isolate the cause of the difference. Like in your case, we want to know, why did your boss just tell you to not wear yoga pants and not tell other people? You have no idea, right? Really, you can speculate, you can guess, but you have no idea. The only way you would know is if you set up some kind of experimental situation where you can control for all factors and forces, and then you isolate it to try to figure out, why does your boss tell one person and not another person? And then we identify what the difference is on that, right? Or some experience that you have, or Adia, an experience, the one that you said you had, right? That we don't know. We have no idea if this family was discriminated against at all. We really don't know. But what we do is we do these audit studies. Can you go to the next slide? And so we will get testers. And so maybe it would be like the three of you become the testers. And we have you go in and look at homes with maybe a partner, maybe your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wives or whatever the case is, right? And we do it differently because we're going to test even for couples that are gay or lesbian or trans or whatever it is. And so what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to wear the exact same clothes, and kind of in a way you're all wearing the same clothes anyway. You have sweatshirts on or hoodies or whatever, and we're going to teach you how to shake hands, and we're going to do it like the same level of firmness, and we're going to be like, okay, look in my eye when you shake hands. You're going to hold it for 2.5 seconds, count 2.5, and then the same thing, 2.5, and you look in my eye. And we're going to and you're going to wear your hair in similar ways. You're going to be a similar height. You're going to speak in similar ways. You're going to say hello in the same way. We're going to control for all of these things, and then we're going to send you around to look at houses. Either the rental market, they're going to meet people like your mom. And then it's going to be, we're going to go to rental markets, we're going to buyer markets, and we're going to send you around. And we do, like 8,000 of these. We do thousands of these every year, okay? Or every couple of years. And we want to know, like, is there discrimination going on in the world of housing? Because housing matters. Like, the difference between renting a house, for most people, their house is the most important source of savings that they have. And so therefore, it matters that you can not only buy a house and not rent one, but that when you apply to the bank for a loan, you get the same interest. We would want all three of you, when you apply, if you have the same income and same everything behind you, you should get the same interest rate, each one of you. There shouldn't be a difference at all. Okay? And so we want to make sure of that. And if you have a higher, if Div has a higher interest rate, then that's money out of her pocket, and that's discrimination, and it makes no sense. If we control, if these three are exactly the same, what we do with these tester studies is we set them up with the same background, the same resume, the same application, it's the same amount of money in the bank. Everything about them is the same, and we just start sending them around to real estate agents and see what kind of responses they get. And they should get the exact same response, right? Are we right on that? You should get, because that means you're not being discriminated against. Now, if you're not studying, if you're not tracking these kinds of studies, things like this, first off, if you go back one page, or 2 slides, if you only read this story, that story. If you only read this story, you can say, aha, there's discrimination happening. This is proof of it. It's like, that's not proof of it. That's just one case. So go 2 more slides again. But if you're not studying the research, what people are trying to discover, then you can't have an opinion on any of this stuff, right? Because you don't know, like you have no idea. Like I don't know what her experience is. I don't know what her family's experience is, or her Caribbean community's experiences. I have no idea. I only know my own experience. So if I don't study that, I cannot say like, oh, there's no discrimination in the housing market. I would have no idea, right? Or if we just like your mom, we could listen to your mom and say, hey, is there discrimination in the housing market? Your mom might say, no, there's none at all. And it's like, well, why? How does she know that? She doesn't know because she's not doing the blind tester studies, right? Or she might say, oh, yeah, there's lots of discrimination. And I'm like, well, how does she know that? She doesn't know that if she's not looking at the data, right? There may not be that much discrimination. Okay? Is that cool? Okay, how about policemen? Have you ever been pulled over by the cops? Any of you been pulled over? You have been? For speeding? Yeah. Did you deserve it? All right. So, what have you heard about black people, dark-skinned people getting pulled over by the cops more than light-skinned people? What do you all know about it?
I think that black people get pulled over like an unfair amount over white people, and when they get pulled over, they get ticketed and charged a lot more than white people do.
But how do you know that?
because I think you've shown us data like in this class about that. I've just like seen it a lot. Like I think that's like a statistic that pops up a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
I myself have not done a ton of research in police pulling over black versus white people, but from what I've seen, I feel confident to say that black people get pulled over more and unfairly.
Okay. So, Div, Adia, do you have a thought on that?
At first, you said dark skin in comparison to lighter tone, like brown skin.
Yeah.
Were you implying about like colorism, or are you just saying black and white people?
That's a really good question. People with the darkest skin tones in the world on average are from South India, right? On average. And, we measure skin under here. We don't measure it like in your face or whatever. We measure, when we want to study color of skin, we take the coloration from under here. I'm gonna say dark-skinned people right now. Yeah.
Dark skin people.
Darker skin, more darkly pigmented people, yeah.
In comparison to white people.
Yeah, in
or-
comparison to lighter skinned people, yeah.
Okay. I mean, like Hope kind of said before, I haven't done the research on it, but I'm pretty sure it's true because based on what I see in the media news and what's reported every day, or what's actually not reported every day, or
Yeah.
just people that I know and their experiences, or the people they know experiences, I feel like we hear that more often. Actually, no, we don't. Not in media, but I hear that more often than like the average white person getting pulled over or having a aggressive experience or a horrific experience.
So you hear more often from your black, dark-skinned, let's say black for a moment. Let's just go there. Your black friends that they've had this experience more than your white friends and colleagues.
Correct. To
Yeah.
be fair, I don't have that much I don't have any white friends. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have white friends, but
So what?
yeah.
Adia needs a white friend, somebody. Hope, there you are. You're both intelligent. You're both in that world. Okay, I got you. You're allowed to say that. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, you've heard it. Div.
So again, like the other two, I haven't really done much research,
Uh-huh.
so I don't think I could like confidently say that black people are pulled over more than white people, but at least in terms of what I've seen through the media, again, this might be biased.
Yeah.
I think the outcome of those interactions with black people, it seems like it's more negative in general.
Yeah. Well, there's more of it. Okay, it seems like it. But remember, what gets put out onto the headlines are the extreme examples. So here, go to the next slide. So here was a really, really well done. There are a lot of studies on police pulling people over, right? And this was a really fascinating study. And they did it. They looked at 95 million traffic stops in jurisdictions around the U.S. And they looked at the records for stops right at 7 p.m. because they were using daylight savings time. And so for half the year, 7 p.m. is still light out. And for the other half of the year, 7 p.m. is dark. And so they wanted to know what happens when it's dark out. And if black people get pulled over more than white people, light-skinned people, if dark-skinned people, we'll say black people, get pulled over more than white people, then at night, they should level out because the police can't see who's driving the car. So you have no idea, right? And because you have no idea, you just have the basis of whatever you're going to choose to pull the car over, and it's going to be everything that we use. Speeding, you didn't come to a complete stop, you have a broken taillight, whatever. In the summary of this, of 95 million traffic stops, and then looking at 113,000 records at this one moment in time, it's that there's no question at all that black people get pulled over more than white people, right? I mean, there's just no question, right? And we know that. We see this, and police do different things, and police don't want to be discriminatory, right? They're not like trying to do this. Some are, right? Some are, but a lot of times it's just like maybe the real estate agent who just doesn't even think about it. or the person, whatever it is, you're just not really thinking about it. And of course, this is the thing that we're working with all the time. Like, how many of us are discriminating against other people or engaging in some kind of discrimination and we don't even really know about it and we don't understand it? The police I talk to, the police that I've worked with, are pretty adamant, man, everyone except a couple, that like, nah, I treat everybody fairly. And I'm like, yeah, well, of course you say that, and most of them I really believe. But, and by the way, if you're black in here, cop pulls you over, I'm going to give you some advice. You ready? Cop pulls you over. Do not ever say, you just pulled me over because I'm black. Don't say that. Because it's not going to get you anywhere. Except it's almost a guarantee going to get you a ticket. They might give you a break, but if you say that, they're not going to give you a break, man. Just don't say that. Just hold your tongue. Deal with what you got to deal with. Don't say that. So that's my advice. Sam Richards. Maybe I'll save you $100. All right, go to the next one.